Yes. As a class, paper, scissors, now, little break trail. You're trying not to. On the eyes of table, yeah, the older things too, you find stuff like that. In that general, you're right, on the one end. Nice. Supposed to be.
Good evening. It's 6:30. Members of council are assembled when you are ready to begin.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome all members and welcome everyone in the gallery and everyone watching via the live stream this evening. Second item on the agenda is the land acknowledgement. I'll read the land acknowledgement this evening. We acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which consists of the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash unceded First Nation. We understand this land holds immense significance to the people of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation. We appreciate those who live and work alongside us today and who continue the traditions of their ancestors as stewards of the land we are privileged to inhabit. We thank them for the contributions they have made in both caring for the land and in shaping this community. We commit to truth and reconciliation, to acknowledging the truth about what happened to Indigenous peoples because of colonization, and to reconciliation, which begins with each and every one of us. And I might just share at this moment that a couple of weeks ago, I participated with Chief Ritchie in the Ice Bucket Challenge at GC. I'm not sure if that it was part of reconciliation or not, but it was certainly, we both left cold. I'm not sure either of us have fully warmed up at this point, but it is a great example. It really is always amazing to go there to GC Houston School and see the connection that that school community has with the First Nation, and the school is always there to support things with the First Nations, and the First Nation is always, the Saugeen First Nation is always eager to be at the school and support the programming that goes on there. And so I just always appreciate going there. I think it's an outstanding institution in our community, and I just wanted to note that. So as a local government and public organization, we are dedicated to learning about Indigenous culture, to fostering a better relationship with First Nations and their people, and we commit ourselves to actions that move us forward on a path to healing along with the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation. Third item on the agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interest. Ask any member if you have one of those you'd like to declare at this time. Seeing none, of course, you can do so anytime if you need to. So that moves us on to adoption of minutes. We have the regular council minutes of May 20th, 2025 and May 26th, 2025. And the resolution is that council adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of June 9, 2025 as presented. Is there a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor Mayette, seconded by Councillor Davinsky. What did I read? Oh, it said June. Oh yeah, I just read that off like it was right, didn't I? So we are adopting the recommendation of adopting the May 20th, 2025 and May 26th, 2025 minutes. And it's been moved by Mayette, seconded by Davinsky. Questions or comments to either of those sets of minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Okay, so we're on to delegations. We have two delegations this evening. Just remind our delegations that council's allotted 10 minutes for each of our delegations. Appreciate it if you'd stick to those timelines. Our first one is from the Society of United Professionals. And they're here to talk to us about the Canada United campaign supporting Canadian labor force. And when you gentlemen are ready, the floor is yours.
Mayor Charbonneau, Saugeen Shores Council. Hello. We are Canada United campaign coming out of the Society of United Professionals. To my left, I have our local Vice President, Dave Chexters, and to my right, we have Unit Director Jeff Lawson, and I'm Eric Tiesler, Unit Director. as well. And so this composes of, I guess, 3/5 of our executive board team that actively bargains on behalf of over 1,400 members, now growing 1,500 members across site at the Bruce. I also like to recognize an ex-LVP, Dave Mayette, is in the house. So hello, good to see you. For those of you that don't know, oh, you had one job, Dave, one job. It's okay. Don't fire me, please. Okay, so the Society of United Professionals represents actually over 10,000 professionals across Ontario, including engineers, scientists, supervisors, and legal aid lawyers more recently, as well as Aboriginal rights lawyers. So our biggest bargaining units is OPG, Hydro One, and Bruce Power, of course, the descendants from Hydro One. And we're proud to say that we represent some very fantastic members in your community, including here, Kincardine, and across Grey and Bruce County. So what is our ask? We're here to ask your support, which is similar to what you've already done, which is passed a resolution back in October, supporting Can-Do Energy and also Canadian Supply Chain. So we got these beautiful shirts here, and they are Canadian made, okay? And they are union made as well. So at the end of this presentation, I know some of your members here have already walked up to my little booth over there, but I have some sizing. I don't have, so we can maybe put it through one of the assistants here on order, and we can bring them back to you. But the intent here is to, I guess, celebrate unity within Canada. Of course, we've all seen what's been going on down south with our neighbors. This one. Where do you got to point it? There or over there? Oh. I'm passing over to Jeff. I'm like Ron Burgundy. I need to have this in front of me. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Canada is experiencing an unprecedented moment in our history. So there's never been a more important time to be unified, and you've seen it in the media. You've seen that, you know, we got through a federal election, which was, you know, a little bit divisive at times, but certainly the rally cry came loud and clear when Mr. Trump decided to leverage his authority and create tariffs that have an impact to not just our community, but all Canadians. And so our union thought up of a campaign that would kind of dovetail nicely in. So we've raised over $3,500 using these shirts in the workplace. As you know, we sell them as a donation, and we're able to give back to the community where people are going to start feeling the impacts of the tariffs, if not now, very, very soon, in terms of food supply. The other thing that we are concentrating on, of course, is to reinforce the argument that Bruce C should be a Can-Do unit. And there's a lot of back and forth as to why an American reactor last year, certainly at the CNA last year, it was all Westinghouse. So I think what we're advocating for is if you're being, you know, asked or tasked by corporations that wish to have your support, think about Canadians first and ask those good questions that say, where's the engineering coming from? Where's the uranium coming from? Where's the labor coming from? You know, like we've enjoyed 60 years of success at Douglas Point, Bruce A, Bruce B, and so forth. Safe operation by our engineers and by our people, right? So keep that in your hearts and minds. I'll stop there and see if there's any questions or concerns.
Well, thank you guys very much for your presentation. Thank you for the t-shirts. Beautiful t-shirts. I got mine here, and I know all the other members, if they don't have one already, will put their orders in. Are there questions or comments from the members? the Vice Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation, Eric and others. And I just, for my order, I'd probably need like an extra large or something like that, if you have an extra large t-shirt. No, but I wouldn't mind a t-shirt, actually. That'd be wonderful. Just your messaging is spot on, and really appreciate the message, what you bring tonight. And I just want to say while you're here, though, too, is thank you for all the good work you do in our community. I know you made a significant contribution to Lamont Sports Park, Wellness Center, our doctor's residence, and many, many other projects. So I just want to say thank you very much.
Absolutely. We'll get Councillor Mayette and then Councillor Halpin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. As far as keeping the Can-Do brand in Canada, I think that's a great endeavor to pursue. And I think at our first resident who's going to be building at our innovation park is actually the Monarch brand Can-Do reactor, right? So the town has put quite a bit of effort into building that innovation park, and hopefully one day very soon we'll see some groundbreaking there to get that Can-Do brand built right into our community. So we're with you on that one.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Councillor Halpin.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Just want to say, keep up the good fight. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good fight. Elbows up.
Thank you. Councillor Davinsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, gentlemen, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for the shirt. It speaks volumes. And I might add, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, this council spoke volumes where we are proud to be able to support Canadian workers at anything we look at. That's our first goal. If we have to go elsewhere, we have to go elsewhere. But it's elsewhere out this way as opposed to down south. So thank you for that. Are these sweaters or t-shirts, will they be available to the general public as well?
I think we have a multi-platform stage right now. It was like core Bruce Power Workers, which is our bread and butter. Now we're reaching out to council, and then eventually, like, we'll have shirts still to offer. I think we'll concentrate on Labor Day. I think Labor Day is the appropriate place for us to showcase this. So there's a good, strong possibility we will have a vehicle ready and giving out shirts to unify, like giving out the last of them to kind of round out the campaign. I think that would include people that are at the parade.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think that would look terrific as a picture with the streets solidified, solid, Canada united. So best of luck and thank you.
Thank you. Are there further comments? I just, for myself, will just echo what the Vice Deputy Mayor said about thanking society for all the work that you do in our community, all the support that you give us, and recognize, of course, the fact that the reason why society is able to support the pool and our doctor recruitment and all of the things you support is because you are Canadian, you're workers in our community, because there is investments being made in Canadian technology and Canadian workers. That's why society has membership. And so I think, that is a really important message to give to the community, right? That to have all these things, and we're so lucky we live in the best place in the world. And the reason why it's such a great place is because we have people like yourselves working in our community, earning a decent living, who are able to give back. And you can't do that if the technology you're building is all US technology. In fact, I learned from you, Eric, just at CNA, just how some of those US technologies, how I had always thought, well, you build a nuclear reactor, Canadian engineers are going to get to work on it. It's in Canada, but that's not the case. Like, it's very much the case that, where that technology is from very much dictates where the money will be spent and where the jobs will be to support that technology. So when you mix that in with the idea of having to buy enriched uranium from the United States and do other things with these other technologies. It just, this council's already passed a resolution, as you mentioned, supporting CANDU technology. I hold that view more firmly today than ever. I mean, Canada should be building, our next set of reactors should be Canadian-made CANDU reactors. It's the best nuclear technology on earth, safest, most efficient, most effective, and it employs Canadians. So I sure hope that you guys continue this campaign, get around all the rest of the municipal councils and everywhere else that you can send that message, because we really need to be united, I think, in that view that Canadian technology is the best technology. We should be the leaders. We should be the world's leaders in nuclear technology. We have everything that's required for that, including all of your members. So anyway, thank you guys for coming in. Thanks for the shirts. And we'll see you, well, we'll see you before then, but we'll see you on Labor Day.
Yes, Labor Day.
Okay. Thanks, guys. All right, our second delegation is from the Canadian Federation of University Women. It's Odette Barnicki. And Odette, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
I told the gentleman before me not to screw the technology up, so let's see. It's going to be me instead. There we go. Mr. Mayor, Council, members of the public at home and in the gallery, and the town staff. CFUW is a nonpartisan voluntary self-funded organization. We have 90 clubs, 6,700 members, which is down from a few years ago during the pandemic. And half of those clubs and members exist in the province of Ontario. CFUW Southport, which is our local club, was founded in 1989. We celebrated our 35th anniversary back in September, and our mayor was there. Thank you for that. We currently have 113 members, and we are open to all women and individuals who identify as women, and a university degree is not required. That's a thing that sticks in the name because of legal requirements, but we have many, many members now that do not have university degrees, and we definitely value different types of education, including life itself. Our main goal is we work to improve the status of women and to promote human rights, public education, social justice, and peace, both here at home. We do it locally, we do it provincially, we do it nationally, and we do it globally. We have a voice at the UN every year, which is very important to us. We have a scholarship fund here, which to date has given out over $90,000 in scholarships. That scholarship fund was established in our second year in 1990 by Miss Jane Kramer. Many of you know Jane. Right now, we give out 6 scholarships for students who live in Saugeen First Nation, Saugeen Shores, Bruce County, depending on which the scholarship is. They are for students graduating from St. Mary's in Owen Sound and from Saugeen District Senior School here in Port Elgin. 2 of the scholarships are for Indigenous students. We also have one that is a memorial scholarship for Liz Squires, specifically for a graduating student pursuing a career in education or in a field that helps children and youth. We also have a memorial scholarship by our founder, Carolyn Day, who was a very big environmentalist, if any of you knew her. There is a provincial award dedicated to her as well. We give an award in her name to a student who is or has been in the care of Bruce Gray Child and Family Services. That student can live anywhere in Bruce County. And of course, there are 2 additional scholarships as well. In addition to the high school scholarships, we give a mature woman scholarship. And this is for a candidate who has been out of high school for whatever reasons for a minimum of 1 year. And that is the same criteria that most colleges use in this province. The candidate can be pursuing post-secondary education through university, college, or trades or apprenticeship programs. And there are other certificate programs that we consider too. Our new scholarship that we're here to talk to you about, I'm behind this, is a Woman in Trades Scholarship. We're very, very proud to kick this off this year. You may have seen information in the local papers. Only 8.1% or 7.4 nationally of the 144 skilled trades recognized in Ontario are filled by women. And yet 51% of the workforce is women. Kind of doesn't make sense when we're all looking for people to fill skilled trades jobs. I'm going to put a quote up for you. Women make up nearly half of the entire Canadian workforce, but the perception still exists that certain jobs, particularly those in the skilled trades, should only be done by men. In reality, women excel in all traditionally male-dominated careers, including those in construction, manufacturing, automotive, mining, and welding, and more. And that quote comes from an article, a research article under the Canadian Ontario College's website. And they have done studies that show that for some trades, for example, I'm just going to forget the name of this. It's the welding that builds vessels or tanks. Pressure welding. That one, women have shown to far outpace men in their ability to do that job. I know there are things men do better too. The Mature Women Scholarship, sorry, this should be the Women in Trade Scholarship, is a win-win for Saugeen Shores. We know that here we've got a high growth rate in housing needs and other types of construction development, as well as the green energy that the previous speakers talked about. In fact, we learned recently by visiting our Spark Center here in town that Bruce Power has 700 electricians hired, 700. I don't know what all the others are, but that's a lot of people to keep replacing with attrition and with growth. Women are also able to better provide for their families when they have well-paid jobs. And here's where I'm going to go a little bit aside and tell you about a woman I met in Windsor about this time last year. She was at Fanshawe College with a group of people promoting a government-funded, Canadian federal government-funded skills trades program for women. That grant has since died. But what she told my partner and I is that prior to doing that course, she was a single mom with 2 kids. She worked at a grocery store full-time and she worked 2 part-time jobs, and her total income was $37,000. After completing an electrician's program, she is now making close to 100. You can imagine the difference that makes to her family and her life. I think it's really important. I mentioned Sparks briefly. My scholarship committee mates and I had a lovely visit to Sparks. If you haven't had that chance, it's worth going. You will see both men and women of a variety of different programs doing the welding and electrical right now, and I think they had plumbing and probably some others at different times too. I've been told by Rob Stanley how many they've graduated out of there. And the night that I was there, there were union officials from Boilermakers and another union, and they were there to recruit these young people. So it's a great program. I know the town provides some funding for them, and I also know that their bigger grants are up. We have some good partners that are helping us to get our program off the ground, and there they are. Ryan Walker of Walker Homes, Lynn James Interiors by Design, and Elsian Melcy Oxa from Shorebound Contracting. I hope I have pronounced the names correctly. But when they were approached by members of the scholarship committee about the idea, they said, do you have any women you know who are ready now? And B, yeah, we'll support your scholarship. So it's going to be awarded by September, and we will let you know about that. We're really looking forward to announcing the winner of our first Women in Trade Scholarship, and we're very proud to be doing that in the town of Saugeen Shores. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Questions or comments from members? The Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Odette, for the presentation. I just wanted to show appreciation for the entire group, CFUW Southport, for providing some support for students. I know when I was a kid going to school here that I received some help from a number, it was before CFUW Southport existed, but I received support in my own university experience from a number of local groups, and it made a difference. And so thank you very much for adding to the list and supporting people who from our area who are doing interesting things. And that support, as I said, it makes a big difference. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Odette. And I'm part of that committee, so I'm a little biased about this program. But I also just wanted to say a few things also about the Sparks tour that we had, which was really fascinating and very inspirational. And I want to thank Councillor Mayette and Councillor Halpin for their work in volunteering to be part of that program. And I'm glad our town is supporting that program. Rob told us on the tour a couple of statistics. I think he said 34% of the attendees are women, around that 33, 32% are Indigenous. I know the other thing we saw a number of people who were immigrants. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to call people up who criticize immigration in our country and say, come and look at these young folks who are in here learning how to wire something properly or learning how to weld. Very inspirational couple of young men we met who started their lives in an Ethiopian refugee camp and are now living in Owen Sound and learning how to weld and doing a fantastic job of it. So anyway,
I could just break
it was
in.
great. I could go on and on about
those
that
two
program.
young men from Ethiopia. Last week were given apprenticeships at Leona. And I should mention too that Councillor Grace is co-chair of the scholarship committee and has done a wonderful job. Thank you again.
No surprise there. Further questions or comments? Councillor Mayette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. Yes, I'm really pleased to see that you're offering this skilled trade scholarship. And I'll put it out there as a director and same as Councillor Halpin on the board for the Sparks Training Center that we would be pleased to work with you in any way to help you find suitable candidates to fit into that scholarship program. Because I think it'll just be a great kickstart for any young lady or maybe not so young lady that wants to redefine her career and get things going. And there's lots of opportunities through you mentioned the union partners. I was remiss when I didn't mention the Society of United Professionals is also a great sponsor of the Sparks Training Center, and they've been at most of our events as well. So congratulations and keep up the good work and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Are there further questions or comments? Councillor Halpin.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Working in Spark, but also working for years as a high school teacher, you know, our female students just have always had a greater attention to detail, better manual dexterity, and that makes them excel at woodworking and welding. Those two things, I mean, welding and electrical wiring. And so those are, and I believe electrical is the trade job that has the highest amount of female membership. And I would just encourage anyone out there thinking of that try it, you know, like let's forget about Walmart and those places, and let's give those people a chance to, as you say, really improve their livelihood and the life of their families. So thank you for the work that you're doing with that.
Thank you. Are there further questions or comments from members? Well, let's reiterate the comments. Thanks to you, Odette, and to CFUW for all the work that you do in our community. This is a great scholarship. I think that, you know, there's, we hear all the time that there's as you mentioned, a deficit in the number of folks working in our skilled trades, how we need more people working in skilled trades. And we have, you said, what, only 8% of the folks working in skilled trades are women. That number should be at least 50%. That's a heck of a gap, right? That's 42%. We should be, that's a lot of people who we could be getting into the skilled trades and help us fill that gap and help us build the things that we plan to build and want to build in Canada. We're hearing a lot of talk about building new projects and getting Canada's economy rolling. And so women should play as much a part of that as men do. And so helping, this kind of help that you're offering to get women the opportunity to get those kinds of jobs is fantastic. And I would just conclude by saying it's really cool sitting here to see, we get all of these, all of the synergies that are happening between groups and organizations, right? In our community, we had society here, we have 2 representatives of Sparks, you folks here from CFUW, and all the collaboration that is happening between all these different groups and organizations that are making things happen, you know, in our community, creating these opportunities for young people. You know, it's the kind of thing that it gives you so much optimism, I guess, about what our future is going to look like and how we can overcome whatever challenges we have, because we have all these different groups and organizations making things happen. So, well, anyway, and one of them, one of the most valued is CFUW, and we really appreciate all your work. So thanks for coming in tonight, Odette, and we'll see you again soon. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our delegation. So we have no items for decision. We have a series of items on the consent agenda. Does anybody want to have any of the consent items voted on separately? Questions or comments are okay, but votes we need to pull it out for. So if you don't wish to vote on any of these items separately, I will just read the recommendation that items 10.1 through 10.8 be approved and received for information. Is there a mover and seconder for that? The Deputy Mayor and the Vice Deputy Mayor. So questions or comments on any of these items? The Deputy Mayor.
Just to avoid bouncing around, did you want to move through each of them in turn to see if there's questions?
I can, if we think there's going to be questions on many of them. Why don't I do that? How about 10.1? Anybody have any questions on the art school lease agreement? Don't see any. How about 10.2, the IT managed detection and response? Doesn't look like it. How about 10.3, the preliminary operating financials? Nope. The winter operations plan, Councillor Matt, or pardon me, geez, I'm forgetting who everybody is. Councillor Halpin.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. I think that this is just pretty impressive, the amount of sidewalk that we are plowing, and I recently heard it goes to the moon. But I think that we're not just talking the talk, we're walking the walk and plowing the walks when it comes to providing active transport for people and for promoting that active transport and for making it a more like a walking friendly environment and everything. So, you know, I think Saugeen Shores just has excellent snow removal, and you guys have done a good job, and this is a great addition. So just thanks very much for this. And, you know, this is going to cost a little bit more money, but it seems that it's something that people really want. So I think this is good news, and it's good to see all that stuff plowed. Thank you.
Further comments on this one, the Deputy Mayor?
I just wanted to acknowledge too that it's a really good read, the report, and I do hope I'd sent in a couple of comments that I think were just slight corrections to the report to include language that I guess was a little more inclusive in terms of priorities, both Port Elgin and Southampton, and not just indicating Port Elgin, but I think this is the kind of report that I know that the town social media stuff picks up on a lot of things. It's a really interesting read when you look at the priorities associated with how roads get plowed in the winter and what the priority route is, which, because a lot of people, automatically think the shore road. But in fact, there's another road, which a series of roads that connect up that take Port Elgin right into the hospital in Southampton. That it's the kind of report that anybody in the community, I think, would find something of interest in it. So I'm sure it'll get to be a Facebook post, maybe at a more appropriate time, perhaps just before snowfall next fall. But thank you very much, Matt, for just such a great update. It's very good.
Thank you. Just a note, there will be a press release on this particular item tomorrow, likely. Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Matt, for the report. I too want to say how pleased I am, and I know there are many residents in Southampton who are very pleased to see that additional over 10 kilometers of sidewalk being plowed in Southampton, and thanks to staff and council for budgeting for this additional plow. And yes, we are so grateful, and I hear over and over how people really, really appreciate the fine work that our snow plowing and winter control group do. I, like the deputy mayor said, is suggesting to residents that it is important to read this report, because what this report makes clear is the level of detailed preparation that goes into a successful winter operations plan, the training that staff goes through every year, the maintenance and upkeep of all the equipment, the materials that need to be ordered in advance, the weather monitoring several times a day, every calendar day between October 1st and April 20th. And then the rest of the year, once a calendar day. People don't, I didn't know that. I should have, but I didn't. The fact that staff monitors our pavement temperatures with infrared devices on their vehicles. I mean, it's pretty intriguing. And so, and very comforting. And it's then no surprise that we have such great winter control operations. And we also have dedicated staff who get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to actually go out and see what the conditions are like. So thank you very much, Matt. It was a great report, and your work all year round is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Davinsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can only echo what everyone has said. But I do have a message for those that may be tuning in and watching. Now is the time to take a look at this report, not when the first snowfall hits. Look at it now in the sunshine, out on your patio, whatever the case may be, and see what's happening here. The plan that we have, not only for sidewalks, which Councillor Grace and I went through a lot with that over the past couple of years, but the new roads that will be plowed as well. Don't wait until the first snowfall and then start calling in to Matt or anybody else, because they're out there doing their job based on what we're presenting today. So make sure you check this out and do it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Of course, we do all this planning so that the folks out there in the community don't need to worry about it on their patios in the summertime. But it's been a good note that's been made by folks around the table that an awful lot of planning does go into the winter operations plan and all of our operations, and I think it's worth remembering that and celebrating it. I will note this evening we have our new manager of operations, Trevor Robinson, in the room. Public Works. Our manager of Public Works in the room. So he's got a lot to do with implementing all of this. And so we appreciate having him in the room with us. And I see that the director has a comment he'd like to make. So the director.
Thank you, and through you, your worship, and I'd like to thank everyone for their kind words acknowledging the efforts of our staff. I do want to acknowledge that Trevor Robinson, who is now the Manager of Public Works, as you indicated, has succeeded Pete Nechtel, but Pete also contributing to this report as well. Dave Souza, our other road supervisor, has. Currently, Trevor is wearing both hats until we backfill his position. And we have decided to call him Skinny Pete because it seems appropriate. So.
Well, we probably won't refer to him as that at council. But anyway, welcome aboard, Trevor, and thank you for your work. I will just say that the real headline from this report is 20 kilometers of additional sidewalk plowed, which is a 33% increase in the amount of sidewalk that the town of Saugeen Shores will be plowing. We're going to increase the amount of sidewalk we're plowing by a full third, which is a huge increase, which is going to improve pedestrian access throughout the municipality. And I might add that a big chunk of those sidewalks that are being added are in existing residential neighborhoods. So a chunk of them are in new developments, as you would expect, but a bunch of them, a very large percentage of them, maybe even half, am I about right? Give or take, about half of those 20 kilometers are in neighborhoods that are already existing, which is a demonstration of the direct benefit that people who have lived here their whole lives get from the growth of the community. It's only because the community is growing that we are able to buy new sidewalk snow plows and able to enhance levels of service across existing neighborhoods in the municipality. So people often ask me, what do I get out of the growth of this community? What benefit do I see? Well, here it is. There's an example right there. And I think it's a great thing. People ask us all the time to clear their sidewalks, and increasingly we're making our way towards getting all those sidewalks plowed. It won't happen overnight, but a 33% jump in 1 year is a heck of a step in the right direction. So anyway, thanks again, Matt and Trevor, and to your whole team. All right, so the next one is 10.5, the Government Relations and Advocacy Report. Start with the Deputy Mayor and then come down and around.
Thank you. I just wanted to get a little more information. There's mention in this report about a specific grant associated with the cemetery. Someday I hope to live in one of our cemeteries, so I'm just curious. I don't recall hearing about what this grant is all about, so I hope we might just be able to get a comment or two about what the outcome of that grant is. I think it's about $80,000. I might be out by a few.
I think that's right, the CAO.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just trying to find, it was a grant top up on our OMPF funding of $80,000. So over the last 3 years, Jill Root, our Manager of Strategic Initiatives, myself, the Mayor, Wellington DuPont, and those members of council that have traveled with us to Roma or AMO know that we've made repeated delegations regarding the Pioneer Cemetery in Southampton. And this year it was noted that OMFP, am I saying it? I always get it backwards. OMPF funding received a top up of $80,000. I would say that specifically for Pioneer Cemetery, but they did note that that could be one of our uses of it. I will also note that, this council has in front of it a significant budget request related to that Pioneer Cemetery if we are going to save it from any further slumping into the Saugeen River. So we will continue to ask and invite our Member of Parliament, Lisa Thompson, to come up, which we're working on for this summer to see it, with the hopes of continuing to have that conversation with the province of Ontario for additional funding.
Councillor Halpin and then Grace.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. How much do we pay DuPont Wellington, DW, per year?
The CAO.
Thank you for the question, and through you, Mr. Mayor, we budgeted approximately $72,000 in 2025 for Wellington DuPont's retainer.
And Sometimes you also mentioned in this that you have grant writers working. And how does the grant match writers, how does that work and how are they remunerated?
Thank you for the question. So yeah, so it's a team effort anytime we apply for the grants, and a shout out to all of those in the room tonight that have helped the town in acquiring over that $5 million mark that we've had in the last year. And so we do use a company called Grant Match, and they help us with completing the submissions for the grants because they are quite onerous. Grant Match is on retainer with the town, and their retainer is that if they are successful, they are paid. So while they're included in the same report around government relations and advocacy, Wellington DuPont and Grant Match are two separate entities that we contract with.
Okay, thank you. And I was kind of surprised to learn that the connecting links was something that we had to apply to, or that all of these grants are so competitive to get. I thought by right, because we have a highway running through us, that the government by right would help to look after that, but that is not the case.
I can just note that with several years now of experience with connecting links, we have traditionally been less successful than successful with getting connecting link funding. Like, it's been a challenge to get connecting link. And there was a period actually under the previous government where they almost eliminated the program altogether. But I would say, and I think it's that to me is sort of a real testament to the success we've had with Wellington DuPont, is the fact that in the last couple of years, we've received several, like, what are we at, 3 now, connecting link grants in like 2 years, which is, in my experience, completely unprecedented. So, it's true that everybody knows that you shouldn't have to have lobbyists to get this money. But in the end, if you want to get the money, that's what you do, and it works. Councillor Halpin.
Thank you, Mayor, and those are my thoughts exactly. I think it's a shame that we have to spend taxpayers' money to talk to the government, which is run on the taxpayers' money. And I don't think it should be like that. I do have to acknowledge the success of DW and the amount of grant money that we've had particularly this last year. And I was eager to get rid of them at the last budget time, but the fruits seem to have come in. But again, I just think this is no criticism of all the people that work in the grants. It is not a criticism of it. But I just think you kind of can't get over it that we have to use taxpayers' money to talk to the government. So, but thank you, and thank you for everyone's work on all these grants. And is there a total number for how much grants we received this year?
The CAO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the number right now sits at just around 5.2 million, and the report outlines not only the additional grants we're looking at applying for, but also the advocacy issues that aren't related to grants that Wellington DuPont is working on with us. And there's several under that area as well that they're helping support us on. And I just want to give a shout out to our staff as well, who do spend a lot of time. Director Schreider and her staff, Director Polly, Rahul Amin, have done a lot of work on those grant applications to get them in as well. So thanks to all of them.
Thank you. Thanks to staff, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Grace. And then the Vice Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Kara, for the report. I know I've said this before, that I experienced firsthand the preparation and the fine preparation and support that Wellington DuPont provided to our team at the AMO conference in Ottawa last summer. And but until I read this report, I did not know the variety of ways that they are advocating for our municipality. And just one example, something that I was involved in when I was a member of the Rail Trail Board, trying to get those paved shoulders on the rail trail to try and make the highway crossing more accessible to people who are coming off the rail trail and trying to, transition from that gravel shoulder to the highway pavement. And so apparently that's something that they're assisting with, and looks like we're successful in getting that. That's something that the rail trail has been trying to get for years. So I completely support our use of taxpayer money. I think it is a shame we have to do it, but that's the way of the world. And I think Wellington DuPont is doing a really fine job for us. Thank you.
Thank you, the Vice Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I also think Wellington DuPont are doing an extremely good job there. I just had a question for the CAO. I did meet a company at the OSM conference who would dearly love to be able to bid on this contract. And I've been in the business 25 years, and it gave me some ideas around some of their successful projects. And so there are other companies. And I guess my question to the CAO through you, Mayor, is that, Kara, was it sole sourced? Did we go for a request for proposal? Was it a tender process, or was it sole source?
Thank you for the question. And through you, Mr. Mayor, if you remember back to 2023, I think is when we started working with Wellington DuPont. We specifically brought them on board in relation to the Aquatic and Wellness Center and securing funding for that. If they're watching at all tonight, or anyone from the province or the federal government is watching, we're still waiting for funding for that. So it is one of the places where weekly we're asking for the updates on. But that was the original intent in bringing them in, and it did sort of grow from there to the request that we made of council last year to extend their contract. So it hasn't gone through an RFP. If this was a recommended company to us from our member of parliament, and so if there is somebody else that you have in mind, I'd be happy to explore that option with them.
And thanks for that. I promised I would raise that when the time was appropriate. So I'm raising it this evening, and I'll pass that contact along to, and one of the contacts is actually a seasonal resident in Southampton. So I think if there's an opportunity to tender or RFP, Wellington DuPont are doing a great job. So this council may very well decide that we'll just stick with Wellington DuPont, but I just wanted to pass that on.
Thank you. Further comments? Yeah, I think it's, Councillor Mayette, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could I go back to, I think it's number 3, the IT managed one?
Well, why don't, can we just, I have a comment, just I want to
Yeah,
make quickly on this, we can go
sure.
back. I just wanted to follow up on what the Vice Deputy Mayor just said and note that I think probably it is a good idea, since we sort of, this has sort of become a thing since, as the CIO raised, because of the Aquatics and Wellness Center, and we've sort of realized the usefulness of having a government relations firm. And so it's been evolving for the last couple of years, I would say, and now it's maybe reaching more of a state of maturity in terms of becoming more of a permanent part of our operations, in which case I think probably it's smart to go along the lines of what the Vice Deputy Mayor said, to start to formalize it and at some point put it into a routine RFP, because as the Vice Deputy Mayor quite rightly points out, there are many government relations firms in the world, all of which have pros and cons to them, and we should, I find an appropriate time and tender this like you would your auditors and other things like that. So I think that's a good note, and one that we should definitely follow up on. I just wanted to make that point. If there's nothing else on the government relations and advocacy report, we can double back up. The councillor wanted to talk about the 10.2 IT managed detection and response. Councillor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I read this one, a question came into my mind, and I just remembered it now, was like we keep getting these fake, I presume, phishing type emails, and because I usually just delete them because they do look fishy. But I'm just wondering, with the current system that we have we had any attacks that have been repelled by our current system, or have we, or do you have a way of detecting that?
That's why you never answer any of my emails. Dave. Yeah. The manager of IT.
Yeah, thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. We do every day have things that could be a website, could be a phishing email that is, almost all of them are definitely the bi-weekly automated ones, but we do get occasionally ones that come through and they do get flagged and blocked, and we have metrics on that. But the platform we're looking at is not related to the training part. It's just through MISA and some of our working groups, there is some newer services that are 24/7, a little more proactive. You know, all of us have time off. They have staff, and there are a couple that are fully Canadian staffed, designed. So it's just an FYI that we'll most likely be going to RFP in 2026 for a new platform.
And how much does this burgeoning AI space play into this?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So some of the new systems do have machine learning, which is a form of artificial intelligence. That gathers all that information from every single computer, cell phone, brings all the information back. So the biggest part is we're getting almost too much information from everybody's devices for an average person to sit there and make a decision. This is much more proactive. It makes all those decisions in the cloud and then sends us all the alerts. And they have staff that are monitoring it so that 2 a.m, doesn't matter if your computer's on or I'm asleep, someone's watching it and making those proactive decisions. So we don't end up like some of the municipalities that we have seen that didn't have this service. So.
Okay. If there's nothing further on that one, then we're all the way down back and thank you, Darren. We're all the way back down to 10.6, the 2024 council remuneration. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, then 10.7 is the Bruce County Roads Authority Assessment Study. Anybody have anything on that one? The Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I don't know who the question is directed at. This looks really interesting, but it's also a little bit concerning because it does talk about uploading or downloading roads eventually. So, it says something along the lines of we're expecting a report perhaps by the end of this year, which, that doesn't give us much time to prepare if the situation is recommending the downloading of some roads, and because it's not just county roads, it's talking about provincial roads too. So who will participate in this from our community, and what are the expectations in terms of timeline for council to hear about how it's all unfolding? Because it does sound very interesting and makes sense. And we all know that there are roads in our community that part of them is ours, part is the county, and the provincial highway crosses at an intersection. So there's 3 different, I'm talking about the CAW concession 6, highway 21 intersection. There's 3 different levels of government involved, but I'm just curious, and I see 2 people at the mic, who's participating from us, and when might council be hearing some results of what's coming out of the working group? And I look forward to the response. Thank you.
The Director of Operations.
Thank you. And through your worship, we've talked and we've decided that Trevor will stick handle participation in this Bruce County Roads Authority assessment study. Consequently, he was prepared to do some speaking on this, and I'm willing to let him do that right now as his debut before you.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Mayor. So to answer the question, ultimately, I think any changes at the Saugeen Shores level, it will be have to report back to town council. But as stipulated in the report, it looks like their final report is expected in Q3 2026. So that's something that I think we're hopefully a long ways away from actually doing that and seeing what findings come from this working group.
Any further questions? I can just say too that in terms of the upload, download scenario, but at least between the town and the county, it's very likely that that will be done cooperatively. And I wouldn't be afraid that somehow we're going to have a lot of county roads downloaded on us or Well, if anything, it will be done, I assume, in a way that works out to in the best interest of both parties. There are some roads out there where we are, for example, doing snow clearing in the winter that are county roads, picking up pieces of those roads, or there may be scenarios where it makes more sense for one jurisdiction or the other to have ownership. But as I say, I don't think we're gonna, you can be pretty confident that we're not gonna be, the county at least will not be downloading a major burden onto the town of Saugeen Shores. Are there further comments on this one? I don't see any, so thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Oh, the Vice Deputy Mayor, do you have something?
No, I just want to circle back to one if I would.
Oh, yeah, sure, go ahead. Which one?
It was for Jim Bunch, and Jim, it was nice to see Daniel's signature on this report and yourself. And I'm just, it was a question I had, Jim, of when you talk about the surplus of $13.8 million, and I know much of that is attributed to the tax stabilization reserve, and the remaining 8.2 million is reserves predominantly water and wastewater. So I look at that 13.8 million, and then I flip over to the other attachment, with showing the numbers for I'm just flipping to it. And it's the operating results, net operating income excluding debt. In the bottom right-hand corner, it says grand total. On the right-hand column, it says remaining, and is 758,554. Jim, could you explain the 13.8 million surplus versus that bottom right-hand number?
The Director of Corporate Services.
Thank you for the question, and through you, Mr. Mayor. The difference is in the column that's titled actual full year, that is our net income. So we had net income of $13.8 million. We had budgeted for net income of $13 million. That meant that we had a favorable variance to the budget of $750,000.
That explains it. So that's 758,554. That surplus that year end for 2024. Where do those funds end up at the end of the year? Is it tax stabilization? Where does it end up? The 754.
As it relates to the impact on reserves, it is the actual column of the 13.8 million that will be impacting reserves. It'll be impacting reserves better than we had expected back when we did the budget by $750,000.
Okay, and that accumulated surplus is up to what now? What's the number again? I think it's in the report, but I just.
As it relates to tax stabilization, we don't have the precise numbers at this time because this is just the net income. We still have transfers that we're still working on, and that'll be part of what we'll present with the audited statements that we're hoping to bring forward in September of this year. But I'm anticipating that the tax stabilization reserve is going to be somewhere in the magnitude of around $6 million, which would be an improvement of about $1.5 million from where it was the year before.
Just a final comment. Is that $750,000 net operating surplus one of the highest we've seen in the last 5-10 years? Yep.
I would say it's probably in the order of magnitude of what we've seen in the past.
Okay. All right, so we're down on to communications, 4 communications items there. Anybody have any comments they want to make to any of those? I don't see. We will. This is the last one under the consent agenda, so you have a comment, the Vice Deputy?
It was just about Basra, Mr. Mayor, and I at the last meeting when they spoke here as a delegation, you did have a fair number of questions, and they were great questions, and there was a follow-up request at the last budget meeting to call the shareholders meeting, and we're working on that. And I know you've been in touch with the partnering municipalities, and so I think that's something that we'll look forward to. And we have a meeting coming up in 2 weeks' time, where the Basra partner municipalities were asked to bring to the table some suggestions, recommendations around how our very old agreement could be upgraded. The 1998 agreement, I think it is. So that discussion is going to take place in a couple of weeks.
Very good. Thanks for your work on that. Anything else on any of the correspondence? If not, that brings us to the end of the consent agenda. So the resolution's been moved and seconded. All in favor of that? That is carried. Okay, so now we're on to motions and notices of motion. And so presented here isn't really a motion, but it's the only place on the agenda we have to put these things at the moment. So there you go. These are a set of draft mayoral decisions presented by me to you for your review. You can think of this as something similar to what we do with site plan approval. I put them before you in their draft form. You tell me what you think of them. I take your input and if there is input and change them accordingly if required. So there's three here. The first, delegating the authority to appoint a chief administrative officer to council. The second, delegating the management of the town's organizational structure and employment matters to the chief administrative officer. And the third, delegating the establishment, function, and appointment of chairs and vice chairs of all committees of council to council. These are the first three. There will be a future decision, which I will put before you at some point pertaining to the budget. But these are the most critical for the moment, for the time being, with respect to the operation of the municipality. So I'm open to your comments or questions on these items. Councillor Halpin.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Well, Mayor, I really think you've done the right thing with this. And I believe that you've earned a lot of respect in the community for what you're doing. And I just really respect you for this, and I think it's the best decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mayat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I agree. You've taken the high road here, and it's been recognized, and it will be recognized in the media, I'm sure. One question I have is, will these have to be redone every term of council, do you think?
I guess that's an open question. I would think that a new mayor will need to make a statement to the public and to council as to how they intend to use strong mayor powers. I think that as long as I am mayor, these decisions will stand. So I don't anticipate renewing them or changing them in any way. But I think my guess is that the best approach would be a new mayor should make some statement about what they intend to do, since it really is an individual's decision. Further questions or comments on these items? If not, then you can anticipate that I will sign these decisions at the earliest opportunity. All right, so now we're on to bylaws, and we have one bylaw there, which is, well, the resolution is that bylaw 61-2025 is hereby read, passed, and sealed this 9th day of June, 2025. Is there a mover and seconder? Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Davinsky. Questions or comments to the bylaw? The Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. It's not really a question, it's just an observation. I just wanted to point out the addition of the sentence, the two sentences, or the sentence at the bottom of the bylaw. And perhaps you can just speak to that. And because I had called because I thought it was funny that there's two lines for you to sign. There's just one right above the other. And I thought, that seems a little awkward, but I think the second signature relates to the statement. So perhaps maybe that signature should be underneath it. But basically it reads, by signing this bylaw on June the 9th, 2025, I, Mayor Luc Charbonneau, will not exercise the power to veto this bylaw pursuant to subsection 284, section 11, item 4, subitem A. Can you just explain what that means? Because it's something new on the bylaws, and I definitely respect that it's here, and just want to point it out that I think it's a good thing. So I'll just let you comment.
Sure. Yeah. So you'll recall when we heard from John Mascarin was that our last meeting or the meeting before, a couple of meetings ago, we talked about the new power that the mayor has to veto a bylaw. The mayor has a certain amount of time to exercise that authority. So that puts our bylaws into limbo for a period of time where after council votes on it, it's uncertain whether the mayor might veto it or not. So to overcome that, we've added this line to each bylaw whereby I will, so the way I conceive of this is that the top line, the first line, that's the mayor or the chair of the committee. You know, if you were in the chair, deputy mayor, you would sign that line. What that is the chair or presiding officer certifying the fact that council has approved the bylaw. So if a majority of members of council vote aye, it's the obligation, in my view, of the presiding officer to sign on that line because that certifies council's approval. So it's a separate signature line for then the mayor to say, council has approved this and I am not going to veto it. And so that's why it's two lines. It's a little awkward, but this was done at my request in this way because I think it's the cleanest way and clearest way to do it. And so this way I can eliminate the limbo on the night I can sign as the presiding officer and then immediately certify that I won't veto the bylaw. And then everyone can be certain that it will be in full force and effect at that moment without having to wait for 2 days, and then you can take 2 days to indicate you're going to do it, and then another 15 days to actually do it. So it can put a bylaw into limbo for 2 weeks, which in many of our decisions would be a long time. So anyway, this cleans that up and prevents that limbo. I hope that's a clear enough explanation, the deputy mayor.
Thank you for that, and to my colleagues on council. I guess if we don't see that there, we'll have some questions. So I really appreciate you putting that into the format and the process going forward. That's very good.
I might just add that there will be situations, for example, if I am away, where you will, deputy mayor, you will sign on behalf of council, but obviously you don't have the authority to decide whether or not it will be vetoed, in which case my signature will not, if I'm out of the country, I won't be able to sign the bylaw. It could be, there may be occasions where my signature does not show up on that line, which is not an indication that I intend to veto the bylaw. If the deputy mayor signed it, it's only likely that I wasn't present in time to do that, but I'll make every effort, perhaps through electronic means or something, we can work with the clerk's office to ensure that my signature is placed on that line as soon as possible. Further questions or comments to this bylaw? Seeing none, then all in favor? That's carried. Okay, so now we're on to the confirmatory bylaw, and it's resolved that bylaw 62-2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores, is hereby read, passed, and sealed this 9th day of June, 2025. Is there a mover and seconder? Councillor Grace, Councillor Halpin, all in favor? That is carried. And finally, the resolution is that this regular council meeting of June 9, 2025 hereby adjourns at 7:42 p.m. Mover and seconder. Council, the Vice Deputy Mayor, Councillor Grace, all in favor? Council stands adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.